Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. So, we had an interesting late lunch, early dinner today.
If you want to call it interesting, I guess you could do that.
We're recording a video about, male-oriented restaurant bar type places. And
think Hooters.
Yeah, think like Hooters. And so, since we've lived here, this place looked like just an abandoned truck stop, which apparently was named something 777 or something.
Lucky Sevens.
Lucky Sevens. I don't remember what it was. But now, while we've lived here, they reopened it as Ojos Locos.
And it's like really bright and festive looking and orange and neon and right on our freeway exit.
Super clean looking from the outside. But then trying to get there, go there today, and it was like not a party, man. You had to make a turn off the main street onto this little side street that happened to be the busiest flipping side street in the entire universe.
I think the
right
part
at that
that was
moment.
the best was when you pulled into the turn lane and that this dude was coming and there was two lanes going the other way. He was in the lane closer to the turn lane and he's like waving his arms all over the place. Like, what are you doing? Turning into the turn lane, dickwad.
Yeah, I'm in the turn lane, you idiot.
Come on now.
But then we get there, and you had planned this, and you didn't have any way of knowing what we were about to encounter.
It said nothing about it.
And your planning was quite smart, because you're right. A Tuesday night is it's a mellow place to go on.
It was mellow,
and especially when there weren't any major sports events going on. So we cruise up, and what do we see right away? Tuesday, all day, lingerie day.
Lingerie day.
And $3 shots of something. So we're like, oh God, whatever. So we walk in. Oh, they mean lingerie.
I didn't expect completely sheer lingerie, nipples out, thong wearing waitresses. But that's what we got.
They were wearing lingerie as though they were preparing to have sex with their significant other. Seriously, that's how they were wearing it.
No joke on the thongs. Almost all of them had a thong on, so there was butt cheeks everywhere. And then the one bartender, her top was super low cut, which, is saying a lot for lingerie, which you expect to be super low cut. This was super, super low cut.
This was super low cut for lingerie.
And it was completely sheer, and she wasn't wearing pasties. And I didn't need to look that close to figure it out.
But just further proof that I'm completely oblivious as a man because I did not see that.
Well, you purposely didn't look after I told you I could see her nips.
Well,
I know this about
maybe, but I don't. It's so ingrained in me now that I think what happens is you say something like that, and then I just subconsciously avoid going there.
Right.
And it's subconscious now. It's not something that I think about. But
she was a tiny little blonde thing that looked like she might be 12, and I could see her freaking nips. I was not in.
Well, the girl that was that was waiting on us, when she was standing behind me, I could hear her telling the guy that she's in college and she has the possibility of finishing in 4 years. So that makes her at the most 22 years old.
Right.
I wonder how.
But probably more like 20. She's probably partway through college.
I wonder how her parents feel about her, with the tatas out and her buns jiggling. Seriously, they were.
You are a man with a child that is female, over 18. How would you feel if either one of your daughters were working at Twin Peaks? Their naughty bits were covered.
I'd be a little bit cautious, but not hell no, you shouldn't do that.
You'd be more worried about the getting stalked to their car and murdered, correct?
Exactly.
But if your daughter were working at Ojos Locos, you'd be like, hell no. Are you wearing thong lingerie around all these dirty men? Nope. And that's what was there. Well, not to judge, but they were like...
Well, like that table, they came in as a couple, a man and a woman. And he's like got, the shit-eating grin on his face, checking out all the flesh everywhere. And the hostess was definitely the mostest, like huge. And the
girl flatter her body type.
the girl that was with him, her mouth was just dropping open in shock at what she could see. But what I was going to say was, here we are. We're like 12 minutes from downtown. We're probably 25 minutes from the middle of the strip. And so we're quite a ways away. You're not just walking here.
Right.
And we got crazy, weird crap going on out here. And no one cares. No one says a word about it. They don't act like it's weird. We don't act like it's weird. The other people don't act like it's weird. But come on, let's be real.
Those people were there and they thought it was completely normal.
Be real. It's weird.
Yeah.
It is. It's weird. It's weird to me to tell me it's a restaurant that's a sports bar that serves wings and pizza. And then I walk in and you're serving me in your panties. And I'm supposed to feel comfortable eating that food?
Do you know, I don't own a single pair of underwear that would show that much of my ass.
Only you would say that right now.
You're welcome.
That's funny. But it's just so wrong on so many levels. And I mean, and I'm a man saying it, and I get it. A lot of men love it. But I don't think those men are actually thinking long-term effects of what they're seeing. And, it's someone's daughter, man.
Right.
That's the other part that bothers me.
I mean, I'll give those women credit. None of them looked particularly great in the lingerie that they were wearing. It was making them bulge in all the wrong places. And the one looked like she'd maybe recently had a baby. So she still had baby belly.
That's because I also think a lot of these women don't know how to fit themselves into that kind of stuff.
Right. There's way more flattering lingerie all those women could have been wearing that would have been sexy and not disgusting.
Well, the thing is,
they went gross.
The thing is, ladies usually go one of two directions incorrectly. They either go too tight, which looks horrible, or they go so loose that it looks horrible. And it also fits horrible. There's a happy medium where it looks like a nice, smooth body.
I saw the photo of what they're supposed to look like when it's not lingerie day. And they looked more like Hooters waitresses, but their outfits all black.
Yeah, that's what I would have expected.
And I think that all of the servers there would have looked good in that.
I agree with you on that. Because it's about what you strategically cover up, too.
Right.
It just really is, guys. It just is. This just was quite the insanity. But here we are. We're dealing with something that we've both admitted was weird. And we just shrugged our shoulders and dealt with it and got in the car and laughed about it. That's literally what we did. We ate our stuff. We talked to each other about how horrible the food was.
I was going to say, now we're dealing with the gastrointestinal distress from how garbage the food was there. Don't do it, people.
And we laughed our way to the car. We laughed our way all the way back in the car. We drove through this really weird, cracked out neighborhood. I mean, it was just quite the thing, but we just take it in stride. You know why? Because we're in Vegas.
What happens in Vegas?
If we were in California and we went to a restaurant that was supposed to be a bar, like a sports bar, and you walk in and it's lingerie night and they're literally looking like they're ready to bang. No, please do not get that near my food.
Okay, we never went to any bar type places when we were in California. So the only example I can think of is if we'd have gone to Buffalo Wild Wings and Cerritos and they'd have been in lingerie night. What?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm getting at. I kind of sidetracked myself. It's one thing when you're going to a strip club or just a bikini bar. It's one thing when you're aware of that. Okay. It's completely another thing when you think you're going to a place where they're kind of covered up, and they look like Hooters waitresses. That's a different story. You're getting a completely different thing without being warned. I was
expecting to see bottoms of cheeks and cleavage. I was not expecting to see full asses today.
Yeah.
And dips.
The thing is,
and blind.
We know what all of those women look like naked now. Quite honestly, that's the truth. There's nothing left of the imagination with any of what they were wearing. Nothing. But see,
I'm not in.
Like you said, imagine if you were in LA and you saw a topless nun.
You know,
Would you find that normal there?
I don't think I ever saw street boobs in all the years we lived in LA, but I don't have enough fingers to count how many times I've seen street boobs while living in Vegas. Like full on street titties. Just alarming. And the nun was the most alarming. You're not.
Yeah, the nun was like, her boobs went all the way to her knees.
And it's not even really an exaggeration. Like, they were long.
Yeah, they were literally hanging down to her knees. And
they looked like socks with like 4 pennies in the end.
But speaking about that, it's really weird is that like on Vegas social media sites, they have names for some of these people that are regulars down there.
Like Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah, they have their own names for them.
I love
and like
Marilyn
some
Monroe.
lady just passed away recently who was like called, beep on my face.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the broke ass hooker. She's my favorite.
That was one of the ones they mentioned. But they were mourning the death of this woman by her, crazy name that they gave her. I mean, it's interesting that these people, and that's kind of what's cool about this place. And you said it today. You said something about, maybe that's why it's a lot more comfortable to live somewhere like this. And by comfortable, she didn't mean like financially comfortable. She meant like emotionally and mentally comfortable to live here.
Oh, because you were saying that there's everything from bleeding heart liberals to like diehard rednecks here.
Yeah, like hardcore rednecks.
I think that makes it more comfortable.
The dude had like 6 connections for CB radio antennas.
There's 2 very distinct points of view and a shit ton of people in the middle here. And we live in the middle.
Well, no, it's true. It's why we get along better with people here. We really do. Like I got to say, like people that have been to the house, you know what I'm talking about. When I talk to them and they start asking questions about like big things that are going on, like, what do you think about this? And I say, well, what do you think about it? Because I'm turning it around on them, right? And they'll 99.9% of the time, they'll answer me. And what they think is pretty much what I think, which is pretty much what you're going to think.
You want to know what I think it is? Now I'm going to tell you what I think, considering you said think 1,000 times.
I think so.
I think that we all have all the people who are in the middle, which includes you and I, as I just mentioned, have a little bit of redneck and a little bit of conservative and a little bit of liberal, whatever. It gives you something you can relate to almost every person on.
Are you saying we're mutts?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are Chudoranians. Yes! Chudo.
Anyway, back on the topic.
Get it from the CEO.
Back on the topic.
Anyway, you have something you can relate to every person on. Okay?
Yeah.
Like CB radio dude this morning. I'm going to guess if I had to have a conversation with that dude, I could have a conversation with him about something we would agree on.
I am going to tell you this. If a person's being honest, yes. But the problem we have today is people don't care about being right or wrong. They just want other people to believe in them. They want to have a following. That's what everybody's after, and they don't care how they get it. They'll lie and cheat to get there. And that's what happens is you're going to throw that out there, and they're going to be like, no.
That's why I don't talk to people on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm saying if we were sitting at the table next to this dude in Panera Bread and had to have a conversation with him,
you could for sure find something to... You could for sure find something. It's not even about had. What I said to you was, It's about whether he's going to be honest or not.
Like that weird dude we happened to see at Ojos Locos. I made the comment about the F1 ad that was on because they're actually giving prices that are reasonable that people could afford this year.
Yeah.
And it started a whole conversation with him about F1. Glorious.
Yeah. And then we talked about the stadium. We laughed about the idiots who don't think it has a roof.
Literally only has a roof. No option to not have a roof.
Yeah, like this just come on, shut up. It's just really dumb.
I can't wait to see a baseball game in there.
Yeah, me too. It looks like I mean, if it comes out the way the drawings are, that's really gonna be a cool place.
T-Mobile and Allegiant did. Looked exactly like the mock-ups.
So let's wrap this kind of discussion about weirdness up, because we would both admit, and this is what's really interesting, I think we're able to act in a way that's more like us by living here. Because if we were still in California and we were faced with something like this, we'd only go so far with ignoring it, and then we'd have to back away.
I'm not sure we would have gone to where we were going for dinner tonight if we were in California and saw that it was a lingerie.
Yeah, I think we would have left. But here, we went ahead with it because other people are comfortable with it. It kind of makes you more comfortable with it. And you know what? When you start to think about it, you say to yourself, well, who are they harming? I mean, as long as they're making the choice on their own and they're not being forced to dress like that,
yep.
Then who's getting hurt here? Nobody. So,
I was thinking about that as we were discussing their terrible lingerie. Who knows? Maybe that lingerie was chosen for them by whoever owns that place, and that's why it was so...
Yeah, non-fitting correctly. Yeah. Could be. I mean, I had that thought while we were there because some of them looked like they matched.
Right.
I mean, I remember I even commented to you, it almost looked like that was their lingerie uniform.
Right.
Weird stuff. It was just, but the point is that we like a little bit of weird.
Oh, I really like weird. It gives me something to talk about.
Exactly. And we're not the type that like to go and participate in the weird, but like we'll sit back and like watch the weird unfold and kind of crack up about it. And like we find the funny parts about it. And sometimes we bring those here to this show. Sometimes we don't. It just all depends on whether we think it's going to be offensive or not, because we don't want to offend people.
So I'm going to tell you guys, if you want to get a view of what we saw at Ojos Locos tonight, you'll have to check out What Happens in Vegas.
Yes. Thanks for reminding me.
Yep. The video will be out, I don't know, sometime around the same time as this podcast episode, I'm sure.
They'll be really close.
Yeah. So just keep an eye out for it. It'll be about 4 of the similar like locations in Vegas: Ojos Locos, Hooters, Twin Peaks, and Tilted Kilt.
Yeah. And by then we will have visited each of them at least once.
Yeah.
And we will have come up with a decision on the video of who's the best of the breast.
There's a very clear winner in my mind right now, but I'm not telling you people who it is.
The best of the breast. And let's be real, that's what these bars kind of project.
I was trying to think of a word that was a synonym of best that rhymed with cheeks, but I can't. I mean,
yeah.
I can't.
Cheeks. Yeah, lots of cheeks. And that's funny. Even the Twin Peaks place, like you said, they were more modest dressed, but even them, their asses were hanging out of their clothes, some of them.
Yeah.
But somehow the little cutesy top that they wore with the color, the lines, that kind of distracted you away from the stupidness of the super tight shorts. It was an interesting situation when you compared the two, because today it just made me uncomfortable. Like I was just like, egads.
We went from classy revealing to trashy revealing.
Yeah. And that's the summary right there, folks. We went from classy revealing to trashy revealing. And so, final plug, go to youtube.com/@WHIV and, find that video and find some others. We got some great Vegas content. We're always putting out more and more and more.
Comment on the video. Tell us if you think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I think we put out the WHIV content on the Yogi's Podcast Network Instagram, right?
I have no idea.
So, but I can never remember what that handle is because you got all these underscores in
Yogi's _podcast_network.
All right. Yeah. Go there because we put content from What Happens in Vegas up there all the time.
And on that note, good night, everyone.
Hasta le bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.